Your living space isn't just bricks and belongings stacked together. It's that rare haven where you can exhale freely, no tensions hanging over you. The spot to drop the facade you put on for everyone else. It's where existence ought to unfold effortlessly, like a river settling into its course. But how frequently do we welcome into this hallowed territory folks who disrupt that smooth current? Individuals hauling in their baggage of worries, criticisms, and that relentless urge to dominate and steer everything. Certain personalities, as you'll notice, tote around a form of mental contamination, not out of some villainous plot, but simply because they've yet to grasp the lesson of allowing things to unfold. They're locked in battle with the way things are, demanding the cosmos bend to their limited vision. And once these folks step into your abode, they drag that conflict right along. They carry music, the strain, the pushback, that persistent undercurrent of unease that shatters any chance of calm. Allow me to describe the initial category, the perpetual music whiner. This individual crosses your threshold and right away starts listing every flaw in existence. The climate's scorching or freezing, the commute was a nightmare, their superior's a fool, their adjacent dwellers thoughtless, the authorities, music, are rotten, it drones on forever, a non-stop chant of gripes. You could assume it's merely a rough patch, a release of pent-up irritations. But observe carefully. This isn't sporadic outbursts, it's their default mode. They've turned perpetual discontent into a habit. Music, they rise each dawn hunting for fresh gripes. They retire at dusk replaying tomorrow's woes. What they've overlooked or maybe never grasped, music, is that griping at circumstances is akin to raging at a downpour. The shower pays no mind, music. It's neutral toward you, just precipitation. The perpetual whiner views the world as a direct affront. Anything clashing with their tastes turns into proof the cosmos is shortchanging them. Yet, here's the blind spot they miss: music. Their gripes aren't mere comments on the surroundings, they're windows into their inner turmoil. They reveal a lack of mastery in embracing what's real, music, the skill to affirm the present moment. And by ushering such a soul into your dwelling, you import this toxic outlook. Abruptly, your cozy seat feels off-kilter, your brews lacking punch or overly bold, your playlist draws doubt. Nothing ever suffices since they've conditioned themselves music to zero in solely on flaws instead of the sheer existence of things. Music. Yet the real issue runs deeper. Whining spreads rapidly. Music, like an infection, it jumps. You launch the day serene, music satisfied with your modest routine. The whiner shows up, and soon you're spotting every minor flaw, every improvement possible, every shortfall against some phantom ideal. Your tranquility fades, swapped for a hazy discontent. That's precisely why you need to bar the perpetual whiner from your home. Not from meanness or indifference, but because you recognize your home as a refuge, a zone to cultivate embrace, music to permit reality to exist unaltered, free from the barrage of critiques. Music. The next figure to exclude is the vitality drainer. This one's someone who invades your area and starts siphoning your life force. It's not deliberate or spiteful. They're not plotting with glee to sap your strength. Rather, it's sneakier. The vitality drainer hasn't figured out how to cultivate their own fulfillment. Music. They forever seek outward sources for reassurance, for clear throat focus, for confirmation of their worth. Music. Thus, they cling to people like a swimmer grasping a buoy in distress. Spot them by your post-visit fatigue. You're drained, hollowed out, like you've shouldered an invisible load, because essentially, you have. They've offloaded their feelings onto you without realizing, forcing you to bear what they won't handle alone. They'll dominate the dialogue, music, rambling on about their issues, their upheavals, their current meltdown. But pay attention. Solutions aren't what they crave. Propose a fix and they'll counter why it's doomed. Float a fresh angle, music, and they'll grip harder to their tale of woe. This stems from their true craving not being aid. It's validation. They've realized that staying in turmoil, feeling distressed or swamped, keeps drawing sympathy from those around them, ensuring they sense their own significance and draw constant focus from others. That's why they keep fueling their own misery. It's turned into their form of social capital. Music. When someone like that settles into your living space, they drain all the energy from the air. Suddenly, it's all centered on them, their moods, their wants, their non-stop personal turmoil. Relaxation becomes impossible since you're always getting dragged into their stormy feelings. You can't just exist peacefully because they're insisting you act, solve issues, or affirm their views. The sad part is, no amount of support you provide ever suffices. Music is the emptiness they're attempting to patch, can't get filled by external sources. It only gets resolved once they look inside and uncover their inherent wholeness. Until then, they'll keep sapping the vitality from everyone nearby, creating a wake of worn-out and irritated folks. Your residence can't serve as a sanctuary of calm if it turns into a repository for others' unresolved music feelings. This isn't about being self-centered. It's essential for protecting your well-being. You can't aid others effectively if you're running on empty yourself. You can't extend true empathy if you're harboring bitterness from being exploited. The next category involves those who view your house as their personal platform for displaying talents. These individuals struggle to just show up and be there. They feel compelled to put on a show at all times, to demonstrate worth, to chase admiration. The moment they step inside, they launch into stories of their newest triumph, their fresh acquisition, or their link to a notable figure. Each discussion morphs into a chance for them to highlight their triumphs, their wit, their uniqueness. They're akin to birds flaunting their plumage, though at least those birds possess real allure as justification. This type has muddled their life's roles with their true self. They believe they equate to their successes, their belongings, their position in society. They've crafted an intricate facade and now devote endless effort to upholding it, to repeatedly drawing attention to its splendor. The weariness this generates is obvious. What escapes them is that authentic engagement demands no act. A bloom doesn't strive for loveliness, it unfolds and the charm reveals itself. A kid doesn't practice fun, the joy emerges effortlessly from within. Yet this individual has lost touch with mere existence. They've grown so fused with their routine music that they've forgotten their essence apart from it. When they arrive at your place, they convert your lounge into their music performance hall. They crave spectators, and you end up filling that role, willing or not. Real dialogue proves elusive because they're not truly hearing you. They're poised for their subsequent line, their next moment music, to redirect the attention onto themselves. This breeds a strange form of isolation. Music. You're there alongside them, occupying the same area, but no true exchange occurs, music, since they're absent in the moment. They're occupied orchestrating their display rather than tuning into the present reality. It's like chatting with a polished script on repeat. Your dwelling ought to be a spot where facades drop away, music, where folks can cease the act and just breathe. But the showmen can't manage that. They're frightened of exposure sans their attire, music, because they see the attire as their sole substance. Thus, your space just becomes yet another stop for their draining spectacle. Steer clear of them, not through hostility or criticism, but via the straightforward acknowledgement that you require an environment fostering realness. You deserve a music setting where individuals can be every day, where the urge to dazzle fades, where authentic bonds can flourish. The final variety consists of those trapped in endless rivalry. They enter your domain and start sizing things up right away. Does your place exceed theirs in size? Is your decor superior? Do you possess items missing from their collection and vice versa? Music. Do they hold advantages you don't? Their thoughts operate like a bookkeeper's records, music perpetually calculating victors and losers in existence's contest. But what they haven't grasped is that no one else tracks the points. Only they do. Existence isn't a rivalry, it's more like choreography. Music and rhythmic movement falters if you're fixated on outperforming the crowd. This soul can't savor the here and now music because they're forever contrasting it against alternatives. They can't value your welcome because they're inwardly benchmarking it against others. They can't unwind amid your presence because they're preoccupied assessing if you're ahead in success, wealth, joy, or trailing behind. Such dynamics render true camaraderie unattainable, since bonds demand a foundational balance and understood the fundamental idea that we're all just fellow humans navigating life side by side. Yet the compare slices society into victors and the defeated, the elite and the lesser. They're forever fretting over where they land in that lineup. As they lounge in your living room, you sense their evaluation kicking in. They're not truly observing you. Instead, they're gauging how you stack up against their personal benchmarks. They're not savoring your space. They're pitting it against some perfect vision in their head or against places they've seen elsewhere. Experiences don't hit raw. They're all sifted through this draining filter of rivalry. And that mindset spreads like wildfire. Soon enough, you're drawn into the comparison game yourself. You begin viewing your own surroundings through their critical gaze. That cozy seat you cherished now looks worn out. That artwork you liked starts feeling crude. The satisfaction you had gives way to a nagging feeling of shortfall. This is comparison's toxin. It corrupts what's straightforward and positive, twisting it into worry. It undermines what's sufficient, making it appear deficient. It robs the here and now, substituting it with perpetual gauging against phantom ideals. Safeguard your dwelling from this vibe. The fifth, and maybe the riskiest kind, is the individual who hauls turmoil along no matter where they head. Their world is a non-stop melodrama, and they expect you to fill a side role. There's perpetually a disaster, a clash, an urgent issue demanding your focus right away. They feed off disorder since it sparks a sense of being truly engaged. Routine tranquility strikes them as dull, unexciting, so they unwittingly whip up disturbances. They spark arguments, they brew discord, they inflate trivial issues into major upheavals. Then they pull those nearby into their fabricated turmoil. These folks haven't grasped that serenity isn't about lacking buzz, it's about fostering balance. They believe thrill demands friction, that fervor needs upheaval. They've mixed up the thrill of emotional highs with real energy. Music. When one of these enters your space, minor matters balloon into giants. They intensify it all, cranking up the intensity of existence until the clamor overwhelms. And here's their ploy. They pin the blame for their mess on you. If your response isn't fervent enough, music, you're deemed uncaring. If you point out they're exaggerating, you're dismissing their emotions. They've mastered pulling emotional strings to lock others into their frenzy. But observe the shift if you opt out of the act. If you stay composed, if you withhold fueling the frenzy with your response. Music. They grow irritated since they crave your involvement. They require your surprise, your worry, your unease to power their spectacle. Music. Lacking that, the frenzy fizzles. Your residence can't serve as a stage for others' disorder. It ought to be a haven from the world's clamor, not a magnifier of it. It should be a spot where tranquility prevails, where unassuming instances can play out without disruption from invented emergencies. So these represent the 5 varieties. The perpetual grumbler, unable to embrace reality. The vitality drainer who saps your spark. The showman, unable to halt the act. The evaluator, unable to just value things as they are. And the turmoil maker, unable to dwell in calm. I'm not urging you to turn icy or harsh. I'm not advising you to condemn them severely or regard them with disdain. Keep in mind, they're wrestling too. Music. They're ensnared in their own routines, their own blind behaviors. They're managing as well as they can with the insight they've got. But grasping their battles doesn't oblige you to forfeit your own serenity. Empathy doesn't demand you become a pushover. Music. You can hold concern for another while acknowledging that their company in your domain damages your equilibrium. Consider it this way. If somebody carried a spreading sickness, you wouldn't welcome them inside. Not out of animosity, but because you know shielding your wellness, music, is essential. The behaviors I've outlined are similarly catching, but they assail your mental and inner wellness instead of your body. Your home serves as your shrine, your retreat, the area where you can at last cease the struggle, music, and just exist. Guard it not with barriers, but with insight and judgment. You need to discern which forces sustain vitality and which ones exhaust it. This doesn't imply your home turns into a sealed-off stronghold. It signifies it evolves into a nurtured oasis where solely nurturing aspects are welcomed, a spot for authentic bonds to form, where joy rings true instead of tense, where quiet feels easy rather than strained, where folks can shed their facade since the demand to act has eased. When you keep these 5 types away, when you step away from your home, a remarkable shift occurs. The clutter starts to dissipate, much like sediment sinking in undisturbed murky water. The relentless chatter fades away. Snorts. The strain eases up, and within that newfound openness, music, you reclaim the essence of mere existence. You start inhaling more fully. Your posture softens, your face relaxes. That perpetual watchfulness unwinds since you're no longer burdened with handling others' chaos. You're liberated to simply exist, to sip your coffee, to observe the shifting shadows, to listen to the chirping outside, to dwell free from judgment, turmoil, or pretense. Here's the truly inspiring aspect. As your living space transforms into such a haven, you open up to authentic bonds because you're not drained by poisonous exchanges anymore. You gain vitality for true companionship, unhindered by chronic whiners. You cherish those who arrive with thankfulness, unencumbered by show-offs. You embrace folks who thrive in everyday simplicity. Your abode evolves into a mirror of your principles, your focuses, your grasp of life's true purpose. It stands as a bold declaration. This isn't about flawlessness or a flawless setup. It's about realizing that the vibes you permit inside your domain carry weight. They mold your mindset. They impact your serenity. They decide if your space rejuvenates or exhausts you. So, choose thoughtfully whom you welcome. Stay vigilant. Pay attention to your sensations once specific visitors depart. Observe the lingering essence in the room afterward. Does it lift you or weigh you down? Sharpen your clarity or cloud it? Bring tranquility or stir unrest? Your home isn't merely a location, it's an ambiance, music, a resonance, an essence of vitality. And you hold the role of its protector. You bear the duty, music, for nurturing what grows within it. This isn't self-centeredness, it's careful tending, it's insight, it's the craft of fostering an environment where vitality can flourish.